Hey YouTube, what's going on? So today's video is going to be really cool. So today's video is actually a video I've wanted to film for a really long time. I've had this idea actually for a few years, but I've just never really got around to it. And because I've got this broken wrist, I can't actually film my normal riding videos. I thought, what better time than now to do this video I've been thinking about. And so you would have seen the thumbnail and seen the title. This video is a video about me giving my predictions for the Crankworx Innsbruck Slopestyle. And so I'm actually a massive nerd when it comes to slopestyle. Like, I know so much about it and love talking about it. So I thought, man, why don't I just go on a limb and make a video about it? Because I absolutely love slopestyle. I'd love to share my knowledge with you and spin a yarn with you guys about it. So that's what today's video is going to be about. Some of you may not actually know what Crankworx is because you could be new to mountain biking. You might not actually be a mountain biker. My YouTube videos might be the first exposure to like free ride mountain bike you've ever seen. You might be watching my videos because you met me at camp or you've seen my riding in a show. Or you might be super into mountain biking like I have, been mountain biking for years and just somehow not know what Crankworx is. And so for you, those of you that don't know what Crankworx is like the Super Bowl of free ride mountain biking, okay? Like, it is the Olympics, it's the highest level event we have. Winning Crankworx is one of the biggest goals any professional mountain biker will have, and to win it just holds the highest prestige of any kind of mountain biking event, and it is a huge deal. So normally there's 3 Crankworx events a year. There's one in Rotorua in New Zealand. There is another one in Innsbruck in Austria, and then there's the Crankworx in Whistler. So Crankworx Whistler is the original Crankworx. It's where basically the sport of freestyle and free ride and slopestyle mountain bikers invented, and it is like the pinnacle of the 3 events, but every one of them is a huge deal. And so, rather than talk about it heaps, I thought I'd show you guys this quick trailer of what Crankworx is all about. So this is the trailer for Crankworx Innsbruck from last year. Alright guys, here we go. Every time I watch one of these trailers for these events, it gets me so excited. Like, it's just so cool, so much fun to watch, and the level of riding is just crazy. So as it says, Crankworx is made up of 5 different disciplines. Those are punt track racing, dual slalom racing, downhill racing, slopestyle, and speed and style, with my favorite 2 being slopestyle, followed closely by speed and style, with slopestyle riding being doing the tricks down features and off drops and whale tails and things like that, and the kind of riding I do, but at a way more ridiculous level. And so at every Crankworx stop, guys in slopestyle gain points towards their F&B world ranking to see who's the #1 in the world, and people can also gain points for the king and queen of Crankworx, okay? And the king and queen of Crankworx are the top riders from the overall points from each event. Each set of events, sorry. And so winning the king of Crankworx, the queen of Crankworx, is also a super prestigious thing to win because it means you are the best, well, you're pretty much the best overall mountain biker in the world that year for male and female, which is pretty flippin' cool. And it shows that you can ride not just one discipline, but multiple disciplines. So the Crankworx Slopestyle Championship, or the Crankworx FMBA Slopestyle World Championship, is the combination of all the events. So this year there's only 2. There's Crankworx Rotorua and Crankworx Innsbruck. With this year, Crankworx Innsbruck is happening first, and Crankworx Rotorua will be happening in my own home country, New Zealand, later in the year. And so normally there's 3. There's also one in Whistler, but due to the COVID situation, there isn't one. And so the competition format is as follows. Each rider will get 2 runs. And then the best run counts, okay? So if you mess up on your first run, you're like, man, I crashed. Or if in your first run you have a little bit left over in the tank, it's all good because you have 2 runs and you can use your second run score. And then likewise, if you do as good as you can do and you do the absolute belter of a run in the first run, you're like, I can't improve, I want to play it safe, you don't actually have to do your second run. So best run score counts, which is pretty cool. Okay, and so there's 4 judges plus 1 head judge, so 5 judges all up, which judge Crankworx Innsbruck. And so for the points for any Crankworx events, if you come first, you get 1,000 points, 900 for second, 800 for third, then it progresses so far. And so the top 10 all get points towards that King of Crankworx and towards their F&B World Tour rating, which is pretty cool. Okay, and then at the end of the season, as well as going towards your F&B World Tour ranking and your ranking in the world, you also get your Crankworx Slopestyle Championship ranking. The person who comes first place wins $25,000 for this, which is pretty cool and a pretty big incentive to be consistent, show up to every event, and just really give it your all at each event. Okay, and now this is just a quick look at the last official Crankworx World Championship we had was in 2019, because 2020 we did have a couple Crankworx events, but we didn't count them towards the world ranking in the Slopestyle World Championship due to COVID. But in 2019, Brett Reeder was the winner, and so Brett Reeder came first at Crankworx Rotorua, Crankworx Innsbruck, and came second at Red Bull Joyride or Crankworx Whistler. So he is super consistent, super dominant all season, and was well deserved to win in 2019. Just realized I haven't actually told you how they judge these events. So these events are judged in 4 different categories, even 5 different categories you could argue. So first of these is amplitude. So amplitude is about how high you go over the jumps and how high you're boosting over those lips. So if you're boosting a jump higher, you're definitely going to score more points if you're going low over the jump, because it looks better and it's just riskier and it's definitely more entertaining for the crowd. Next, they are judged on fluidity, or how smooth they're riding the course. So if you have 2 riders, they both do exactly the same run, and one rider doesn't pedal once, he doesn't case a jump once, he's just pumping, looking really smooth and in control of the bike, whereas the other rider cases 2 jumps and puts in like 5 pedal strokes. The rider who didn't case at all and who looked way smoother and had more control will score way higher. In reality, you could do something like a run that had a double flip, a cork 7, like a triple tail whip, and someone else could just do like a flip no-hander, a double tail whip, and like a 360. And if the person who did the harder tricks was real sketchy, was casing and put their foot down and pedaling, they would probably score lower than the easier tricks done well. So the riders really need to weigh up between whether they send something really hard and risk looking sketchy, or they play it safe and ride really smooth. Next, riders are judged on the difficulty of their trick, so that's a pretty obvious one. Like if one rider did a tail up on a jump, another rider did a double tail up, the rider who did the double tail up will score higher, assuming they landed smooth. Also creativity, so judges will be looking out for a rider who stands out on the course. So if you do the same trick on every feature that everyone else is doing, you're not really going to stand out, you're going to get a pretty basic score. But if on a jump most people are just doing a 360 bar spin and you do a 360 bar spin to tail whip, the judges are going to be like, man, that's more creative, for one, because no one else is doing that, and 2, it's super difficult, so that's going to score high as well. And lastly, riders are judged on their overall impression, okay? So you don't want to have like 2 bangers at the top of the course and a straight air everything else, because while those 2 banger tricks you did at the top are awesome, the judges are looking at how you use the entire course. So every feature on the course is judged, and it is really important if a rider wants to do well, they need to have a banger trick on every single feature of the course, be going high on every single feature of the course, and look smooth the whole way down. So overall impression is really key to having a great Crankworx run. Okay guys, you now know what Crankworx is, you know how the events are judged, so I can start getting to what my predictions will be for Crankworx Innsbruck Slopestyle. But before I do that, I want to show you guys the winning runs from the last 2 events. This first run I have loaded up on the computer is Emilio Hansen's first place run from Crankworx Innsbruck. So for a bit of context, you'll notice he does have a pretty bad case, he's pedaling a lot. It was super windy this day and super wet, so the course was running super slow, and it was pretty sketchy just to ride it, let alone do the tricks he was doing. So that is why he still won with that, but rather than talk about it, let's get into it now. So this is Emilio Hansen's winning run. So starts off in the flat drop back flip, pulling back, no lip at all, absolutely crazy. Then straight into a front flip bar spin to tuck no hander. You can't quite see the bar spin there, but he did do it. Then off the boner log, he's going straight into a 360 downside tail up, absolutely nuts, spinning one way, whipping the other way. Here, 360 windshield wiper, so I'll pause there for a sec. We'll go back. Here he is landing off the boner log, so 360 windshield wiper, 3 whip one way. You can see his foot kicking the back of the frame, so he's already tail whipped one way. He's now kicking the back of the frame to tail whip back the other way while spinning a 360. Absolutely nuts, all while on a hip. Does that perfect. Chuck speed cranking. Then here, truck driver to downside tail up. So that's a 360 with the bar spin, then tail whipping the opposite way to what he's spinning. Absolutely ludicrous. Next trick into the whale tail, finger whip. So I'll just go back there to show you guys what a finger whip actually is. So a finger whip, if I pause here, you'll see, you can't really see, but on the other side, his right hand is actually on the seat, and he's grabbing the seat and kicking the bike around or throwing the bike around with his hand in the tail whip. So that's actually a scooter trick, but pretty cool to see it in the mountain bike. So finger whip in, and then again into the 360 tail up to downside whip, absolutely nuts. Then on the last jump, he's going 360 opposite tail up to bar spin. So 360 opposite tail up to bar spin, that is absolutely nuts. Like, and on the sides of the jump, it's even crazier. So like, I find regular tail whips hard enough to do, and I can't even do a 360 tail whip. And just regular opposite 360s for me are one of the hardest tricks I can do, and I'm actually a really good rider. So to do an opposite 360 with an opposite tail whip, to then catch it and throw a bar spin is absolutely nuts. And all of that, if we rewind it, on a jump that is like bigger than my house. Absolutely mind-boggling. And on top of that, he did it at the end of a run with heaps of other just crazy tricks. So a well-deserved win there, and a real just show of what is possible in slopestyle mountain biking. What we'll jump into now is the winning run from Crankworx Rotorua, and I'm sure you won't be surprised to know that Emilio Hansen was also the person who won that. So let's load that run up here. Okay, so here we go. We have the Crankworx Rotor Slopestyle course winning run loaded up. So this course was a bit different, but similar size features, and this course is argued as one of the best slopestyle courses ever made. Starts off with a massive step down, and the conditions for this event, unlike Innsbruck last year, are absolutely perfect. No wind, sun was out, course was dry, so Emil really performed, and at the time of him doing this run, it was actually dubbed the best slopestyle run ever. So let's get into it so you guys can see for yourself why it was called the best slope. Here we go. So Emil heading into that step down, starting things off 360 tail up, 2-1 turn down, crazy combo, over the pump bump to the setup jump. On the setup jump, truck driver to down whip, and then up here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's pause there for a second. That was a triple tail up, not a regular triple tail up. He was tail upping his opposite way to what is normal. So when I talk about opposite, that is doing a trick the opposite way to what you would normally. So it's like if you imagine in a World Cup soccer final, you have a penalty kick to win the game, and normally you shoot with your right foot. It's like shooting with your left foot. Super hard. Everything is telling you not to do it. To give you one more look at it, he does 3 of them there. And at the time of him doing it, it was the world's first time anyone had ever seen it done on a mountain bike. Okay, then he falls that triple tail up straight away with a regular double tail up, showing he can whip that bike easily both ways. Then onto the street box, foot plant 360 up, little 360 off, nice and easy for him. And here, opposite 360 bar spin to regular bar spin back. 360 unturned down to light bar spin. Then on the setup jump, front flip over the setup jump. That's the jump to set you up for the last one. And then here, 360 windshield wiper, absolutely textbook. We'll rewind and show it to you one more time. 360 tails one way, kicks it back the other way, lands perfect. Unreal run. All the other competitors going crazy. No one knows what's going on. All the crowd going crazy. Emil's pumped. I was pumped when I watched it, like just such a cool thing to see. And at the time of this event happening, no one really knew Emil could do the opposite triple whip and the 360 windshield wiper except a couple of the other riders. Like no one watching had ever seen it. So watching this live was just absolutely crazy. And like, man, Emil is just the GOAT, greatest of all time. He is so good at riding. It is crazy to watch him go to work. Okay guys, so after watching those 2 most recent winning runs from Crankworx Slopestyle events, you're probably not surprised to know that Emil Johansson is my #1 pick to win Crankworx Innsbruck Slopestyle. He's pretty much guaranteed a spot on the podium and pretty much guaranteed first if he makes it to the bottom. The only thing that could really stop him is if he has a mechanical, if he has a bad crash, or if he's sick or somehow like misses his bike on the plane. The guy's just so good. If we have a look now on his Instagram and his most recent post, you can just back it up even further. Like he's been training all winter in Sweden at this really good indoor complex, the huge airbag landing and foam pit. He also has access to slopestyle jumps near where he lives. He's just been killing it. So this is a clip on his slopestyle jumps recently. Here you're seeing going off a 3 off the drop like it's nothing. Next jump into a truck driver X up 1 foot can. So 1, 2, 3-piece combo and a 360. It's really a 4-piece combo. And then the opposite shoulder buzz to bar spin. He's just got crazy tricks both ways, and that's just him messing around. If we scroll up again, we'll see he's got 360 double downside tail whip. Just a crazy trick. There's not really anyone else in the world I know doing this trick, and he's doing it so easy. So just super obvious pick for #1 spot, and really do hope he wins. He's been on a tear lately. He's actually won the 3 most recent Crankworx events. So hopefully this makes it #4 for him. He's just such an amazing rider to watch. So I've got Emil Johansson as my #1 pick for winning the event and being on the podium, but there are 16 other riders, or 17 riders in total, that compete in Crankworx Innsbruck. So I'll chuck that list of riders on the screen now. So on there, heaps of big names in the sport, and there's a couple I want to talk about now. So 2 guys I think could, if they did the best run of their life alongside Emil's run, could potentially challenge him for first, or at least give him a run for his money, are Nikolai Rogatkin and David Godziak. So first one I want to talk about is Nikolai Rogatkin. This guy's an absolute nutcase. He's an animal. He's the only guy who's actually ever won the Crankworx Triple Crown of Slopestyle. That is when you win all 3 events in 1 year. So he's definitely a guy who could win this event, and he's actually won the event 2 other times before. So I'm going to quickly show you guys a clip now of one of his winning runs, or one of his most recent winning runs from Crankworx Innsbruck in 2018. Okay, so here we go. I've got Nikolai Rogatkin's winning run from 2018. So he starts things off with a tail up off the first drop, pretty simple. But then on this first jump, a massive 1080, front flip 720, he calls it the twister. Crazy trick, one of only 2 guys in the world doing it. Then the boner log, he's going 3 whip, super hard trick to do on there. Triple tail whip, super slow and lazy. Next jump, cash roll, and he's grabbing the seat with the one hand. Then to the whale tail, Superman seat grab one-hander. Then cork 720 down. Okay, we're going to rewind there. This is a trick that basically only Nikolai, Brett, and Brandon Semnuk, so Brett Reed and Brandon Semnuk, the only other two guys in the world that have ever done this trick, and this is a huge thing that he has that I don't think Emil does. So it's the 360 backflip, the hardest trick I can do that I've ever done, like on my airbag landing on mulch and dirt a couple times. He's doing it on a massive step down. Then he finishes things off with a front flip tail whip. Absolutely ludicrous. So let's rewind there again to show that front flip whip. Kicks the whip, catches it, keeps rotating the front flip. And now why that's crazy is on front flips, there's so much in your feet and pushing the bike around, and he's kicking the bike around with his feet off to whip that whip around. So absolutely crazy run from him. Really shows that he's got the skills to pay the bills, and he's won the event not just only that time, but he's won it in 2017 as well. He's won this event twice. He's actually won it more times than Emil, so he's definitely someone who could challenge Emil to win it. And watching Nikolai is always super exciting because he never leaves anything on the table. He's always all in, and if he makes it to the bottom, you know he's gonna be on the podium, or he's gonna like just walk away with a broken bike or break himself. Super fun guy to watch ride, and it's an absolute crowd pleaser. And if we look on Nikolai's Instagram, he posted this video here showing us some of the tricks he's been working on over winter into the lead up to this event, and they are massive. So first one there, double front flip, absolutely crazy. Bike flip, don't ever see anyone doing that. Front flip tail up again as he did before. Back flip Superman, that one's kind of basic, but new one for him. Back flip double whip, never seen him doing that. Double back flip no hander. Cash roll tail whip. Twister no hander. And a 1440. Oh, and then another triple whip there just to show he still got it. So absolutely crazy moves from him, and all moves that you don't really see Emil do. The only one there I've seen Emil do is the flip double whip. So definitely pretty cool seeing these two guys compete against each other. They've got such different styles, and it's just going to make for a really exciting event to watch, and make sure you do watch it. Next guy on that list I think is definitely going to be on the podium, or has huge potential to be on the podium, is David Godziak. So David Godziak is actually a rider who started off riding BMX before he moved to mountain bikes, and he actually has a brother named Simon Godziak who has also podiumed at Crankworx events before and really just paved the way in freestyle mountain biking. David decided to give mountain biking a go because he wanted more interesting courses and bigger jumps, and just immediately excelled at it. So he's podiumed twice, I believe. So he came third at Crankworx Innsbruck in 2019, and he came third at Red Bull Joyride as well. So he definitely has the skills to pay the bills, has some crazy tricks no one else is doing. And so as I said, he came third in 2019 at this event. I've got his run up here now, so we're going to play it here. So he starts things off pretty basic here in the flat drop. It's a standard 360, but then on the huge jump doing the twister like Nikolai, but doing the tuck no hander as well. Absolutely mental. So no handed 1080 to start. Double whip on the boner log, pretty decent, pretty decent. Then on the hip, he was going double truck driver, had a little case, slipped the pedal, but pedaled into it, and then cash roll bar spin. So that's a front flip 360 with the bar spin, into the whale tail, front flip no hander, into a back flip out. And so that's one of my favorite tricks event, double back flip with an X up. Nearly slides out, but holds it together. Other riders go crazy, crowd goes crazy. Absolute banger run from him, and so cool to see a double flip combo being done. So David definitely has the skills to pay the bills, like such a good rider, and shows there that he knows how to ride this Crankworx Innsbruck course. And now what I want to do is show you a clip from his recent edit he did for NS Bikes at the start of the year. To a 360 downside whip, catch it with his hand as a seat grab indie. That's a world first trick I've never seen anyone else do before. Doing a 360 triple bar spin a step down. That's massive from him because last season he's only doing 360s on step downs. Then here, cash roll, double bar spin, steps it up to what he did in the run. And then coming up, the crazy, crazy trick from this edit, and one that I've never seen anyone else. Does 1, 2, 3, 4, quadruple tail up on a mountain bike. Only guy in the world who's ever done that, and definitely one more tail up than I've seen either Nikolai or Emil do. So don't know if we'd see that in a contest, but he did put this edit out during the off season, so he's definitely been putting in work, adding more bar spins, learning new tricks, doing that quad whip. So who knows, if we see those tricks on the day in the contest, he could be a contender for even first place. These two riders, Nikolai and David, both make it really, really hard to choose who I think would be in second, would be third. I think either of them actually have potential both to win, but I think for this event, I'm going to pick David Godziak as second place because he's just been working on his flat drop tricks as you can see with that 3 triple bar spin, if he's to add something like that to his already banger runs, I think it could definitely edge him into that second place, maybe even first place. I'm going to have Nikolai down as third because Nikolai is really, really good, but I haven't seen him do the huge tricks in the flat drop like that, so it's kind of a weak spot for him as well, in my opinion. But as I say, don't know, on the day Nikolai might do a run that has a 1440 and like a double flip no-hander and a double front flip, and if he does that, like, I don't even think Emil could touch him. But my choices anyway are Emil first, David second, Nikolai third, or definitely all 3 of those guys on the podium in some order like that, because I just think they're the ultimate guys to choose, and they are really, really good riders. I can't wait to see what they have to bring. In saying that though, there are definitely other riders in that list that could go on the podium. Like Alex Alonco's been on the podium before, Max Fredriksson's been on the podium, both 2 Swedish riders who are super, super good and super talented. There's also 2 new riders that haven't done Crankworx before. So we have David Lieb from the States and Garrett Meeklum. I think it's Garrett Meeklum from the United States as well. These guys are 2 new rookie riders who have gotten to Crankworx the first time, so they'll be coming in hot and they'll be really keen to prove themselves. Not sure if they could podium, but I'll show you guys a couple of their most recent Instagram clips now to show you what they have been doing. This first clip here is of David Lieb. So here he is training on some slopestyle jumps, got a 360 tuck no-hander, absolutely textbook. And then, boom, off the 360 tuck no-hander. So being able to do tricks both ways is really key to doing well in slopestyle events. And like being able to do an oppo 360 combo just as well as you do it regular is super technical and just scores super high. Okay, and if we now jump on Garrett Meekum's Instagram page, or Lil Rojo is what his Instagram account is called. I'll show you a clip from Speed and Start Crankworx Rotorua last year from him. So this is him doing a Cork 720. Has these absolutely dialed, one of the craziest and coolest looking Cork 720s. And can do them under pressure in a contest, so definitely a trick we'll see out of him at the event. And just give you one more look at that, absolutely dialed, crazy spin, so definitely has a lot to bring to the table. And between him and David Lieb, really looking forward to see what these 2 new rookies bring, and who knows, maybe they'll be a surprise rider on the podium. I have 2 more guys I definitely don't think you can count out when you talk about podiums at Crankworx, and that is Eric Fedko and Thomas Lemoyne. Both these guys have multiple podiums, Eric Fedko having a couple bronzes and Thomas Lemoyne having a couple silvers and bronzes, and he's actually podiumed in other Crankworx events as well. He's won heaps of speed and style events and pump track challenges, so Thomas Lemoyne is absolutely dialed. So what we'll do is we'll dive into these guys' Instagram to see what they've been working on. Starting off with Eric Fedko, here's a recent post from his Instagram. He's actually been training with Emilio Hansen, so training with the literal best. Huge 3-whip, catch it early, dumping it in, no pedal, super smooth, into the flip Superman seat grab. Then if we scroll up a little bit, it's got another run here. 360 tuck no-hander, super smooth on a massive jump, no pedal, Superman seat grab Indian air, and even looking at us while he does it. So one of my all-time favorite riders to watch at events, and just to see clips of. He's so smooth, never takes a pedal. And what makes Eric Fedko one of my favorite riders, you know, he's got this huge extension tricks, like does massive Superman seat grab flips, and his 360 Superman seat grab Indian airs are probably the coolest biking trick, or my most favorite biking trick of all time to watch. Like, gets this so extended, they're so cool, so look out for one of those in the day. And what I really like about him is, rather than doing hundreds of bar spins and tail-ups like the other guys, he goes to those extension tricks and mixes things up a bit. He is capable of those multiple bar spin tail-up tricks, so like he does 3-whips to bars dialed, but he always mixes up, which I really like. Now jumping on Thomas Lemoyne's Instagram, so looking at his most recent mashup, you know, he starts things off the double flip, 360 unturned down a table, and bar hump to bar spin, pretty funny one. Cannonball into a bar spin, so he's got heaps of combos on lock, 3-bar to tuck, tail whip. Oh, tail up to bar, actually. Nice. 360 double whip, huge bangers as well. Another double flip, got those dialed. Front flips as well. Like, pretty much any trick you can think of, Thomas Lemoyne is doing it. He's doing it smoother than most other guys. Never see him take a pedal on a course. Super dialed rider. If we scroll down his Instagram further, we'll see as well, he can ride all kinds of different things. So here riding a skate park, 540 on the spine, massive trick. Then riding that big wall ride, back into the spine. Flip whip on the spine, huge trick to be doing on a spine. Actually, if you look here as well, another skateboard clip, wall ride to flare, and I think this here is potentially the world's first ever wall ride to flare. So definitely has the skills to pay the bills, and as I say, it's been a guy who's podiumed before at Crankworx events in multiple different disciplines, so never one to count out. Looking at what the other guys are doing, I think if everyone had their best run ever, that these guys would definitely be in the top 5. But I think, again, as I've said, Emilio Hansen, David Godziak, and Nikolai Rogak, and if they all do their best run that they're possible of doing, they'll definitely edge out guys like Thomas Lemoyne and Eric Fedko. Not to take away from those guys, and again, this is just my opinion, but that's how I think it would play out if they all had their best run. But yeah, all equally fun riders to watch. I really can't wait to see what they do next Saturday at Crankworx Innsbruck. Sweet guys, so those are my predictions for the Crankworx Innsbruck Slopestyle. I cannot wait to watch this event. Like, watching Slopestyle is my favorite sport of all time to watch. Like, I jump up, I'm screaming, I get so excited. So I'm just so hyped to have Slopestyle back after a year hiatus. Can't wait to see who turns out on top. It'll be interesting to see if my predictions come true. And for you guys that are wanting to watch Crankworx live, you can watch it on pinkbike.com, which is the mountain biking website. Red Bull TV usually plays it. The Crankworx YouTube channel might play it. Or if you just Google Crankworx Innsbruck Slopestyle live stream, you should be able to find something that's free to watch. It'll be happening at 1:30 a.m. New Zealand time on Sunday, the 20th of June. So pretty crazy time to get up in the morning, but well worth it if you're a mountain bike fan. I highly recommend it. You can have the rest of Sunday to sleep in. Locally, it'll be happening at 3:30 p.m. in Austria, so if you live in the UK, it'll be sometime around then, but just give it a wee Google Crankworx Innsbruck Slopestyle live stream schedule, and you better find out what time it's playing in your country so you can watch it. It'll be really interesting to see who comes out on top. Super excited to watch, and yeah, it is going to be good. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It's definitely been an interesting one for me to make. As I said at the start, I absolutely love talking about anything biking, particularly slopestyle and dirt jump mountain biking. Like, I know so much about this topic. I could just talk to anyone about it all day, and it just interests me so much. I really hope it interests you guys and you've enjoyed this video, and maybe it's inspired you to watch the Crankworx series. Do let me know in the comments below if you're someone that watches Crankworx, who you think's going to win. Maybe if you disagree with some of my judgments and who I think are going to be on the podium, or if you've got a different idea who's going to be on the podium, please let me know below. I'd love to chat about it. Also, feel free to flick me a message on Instagram. My Instagram's the same as my YouTube, just Levi Goodall. I'd love chatting about this stuff and be really interested to see what you guys hear. And just leave some comments below as well about what you think about the event. And also, if you want me to make another video like this, maybe about Crankworx Rotorua, or if you want a video of me reacting to what happened in Crankworx Innsbruck, do let me know, because I'd be really interested to see if you guys enjoy this. I'd love to make more. And like, ultimately, the really cool, crazy thing I'd love to see happen with these videos is it would be great to see just heaps of discussion going on about slopestyle, because it is a relatively new sport to the world. Like, I mean, it's been happening for about 15 years, but like, when you compare that to like soccer, which has been going on for years and years and years, it's a pretty new sport. So I'd love to get some new people to chat to about mountain biking and hear their thoughts. So do let me know about all those things in the comments below. Be sure to give this video a like. A lot of effort's gone into it. Like, it is now nearly midnight and I've got work at 8 o'clock tomorrow, but just really wanted to get this video done. It's been super fun filming it. Leave some comments below about what your favorite part was. Share this video around to anyone you might think anyone you think will find it interesting, and please subscribe. It helps me out heaps. We'll see you in the next one, team. Enjoy Crankworx. Cheers.